life camping in the wilderness, forests, mountains, national parks, places where you can walk for miles without seeing another person. So, I'm not easily scared when I'm out in the woods. Animals make noise, trees move in the wind, branches fall. When you spend enough time outdoors, you learn what normal sounds like. But one night in the mountains of Oregon, I heard something that didn't sound normal at all. It was late October, and I had decided to take a solo camping trip before the weather turned too cold. I drove several hours out into a remote national forest and hiked about 3 miles down a trail to a small clearing where I had camped once before. The place was beautiful. Tall pine trees surrounded the clearing, and there was a small stream running nearby. I set up my tent, gathered some firewood, and started a campfire just before sunset. The night was calm, no wind. The air was cold enough that you could see your breath in the firelight. For a few hours, everything felt peaceful. I cooked some food, sat by the fire, and listened to the sounds of the forest. Owls in the distance, leaves rustling, the occasional snap of a branch somewhere far away. Normal wilderness sounds. Around midnight, I put out the fire and climbed into my tent. At first, I slept well, but sometime around 2 in the morning, something woke me up. I opened my eyes and listened. The forest was completely silent, too silent. If you've ever spent time deep in the woods, you know that feeling when everything suddenly goes quiet. No insects, no wind, no animals moving around. It's like the entire forest is holding its breath. Then I heard it. Crunch. The sound of something stepping on dry leaves. I stayed completely still inside my sleeping bag, listening. Crunch. Another step. Whatever was out there was moving slowly through the trees. At first I assumed it might be a deer, or maybe even a bear, but something about the sound felt wrong. The steps were heavy, too heavy. Each footstep sounded like someone dropping a heavy weight onto the forest floor. Crunch, crunch. The footsteps were getting closer, closer to my campsite. My heart started beating faster. I slowly reached for the flashlight I kept beside me. Then the footsteps stopped, right outside my tent. The silence that followed felt endless. And then I heard something else. Breathing. Slow, deep breathing. It sounded like whatever was outside was standing only a few feet away. I could hear air moving in and out of its lungs. My mind started racing. If it was a bear, it would probably be sniffing around or trying to get into my food. But this thing wasn't doing that. It was just standing there. Then something brushed against the side of my tent. The fabric moved slightly. I froze. Every instinct told me not to move. After a few seconds, the breathing stopped. Then the footsteps started again. But this time, they were moving around my tent, slowly circling it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It walked all the way around the tent once. Then it stopped again, near the entrance. That's when I did something I probably shouldn't have done. I grabbed my flashlight, slowly unzipped the tent just a few inches, and pointed the beam into the darkness. The forest in front of me looked empty. Tall trees, shadows, and a thin layer of fog drifting between them. For a moment, I thought maybe whatever I heard had already left. Then I noticed movement near the tree line, about 20 yards away. Something large was standing between 2 trees. The shape was huge. At first, my brain tried to tell me it was just a shadow. But then the thing moved. It shifted its weight slightly, and the moonlight caught its outline. It was standing upright, at least 7 feet tall, broad shoulders, long arms hanging down near its knees. Its body was covered in dark hair. I felt my stomach drop. For several seconds, the creature just stood there, watching. Then it took a single step backward into the trees, and just like that, it disappeared into the forest. The next thing I heard were those same heavy footsteps moving away through the darkness. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Eventually, the forest sounds slowly came back. Insects started chirping again. The wind picked up slightly in the trees. But I never slept again that night. I stayed awake until sunrise. The next morning, I packed up my camp as quickly as possible. Before leaving, I walked over to the spot where I thought the creature had been standing. At first, I didn't see anything unusual. Then I looked down. In the dirt near the trees, I saw something that made my heart start pounding again. A footprint. It was enormous, much larger than my boot, and it looked almost human. except for the size. I didn't stay long enough to measure it. I just grabbed my gear and hiked out of the forest. Even now, years later, I still think about that night.